don't really care about what they're saying. You know, this is my second year in the league. Many people don't be able to make it to the playoffs. I got a great team with me. We ain't really worried about what the people saying. We just gonna keep going. Like I said, get ready for next year.
I know how he's gonna respond. You know, he's gonna respond by being extremely motivated and determined to improve as a football player. And I think the strides he made between last year and this year are pretty indicative of that. And we expect him to continue to get better.
Lamar Jackson first, then John Harbaugh after that. Ravens quarterback and head coach following a disappointing ending to a special season. Felt like a team of destiny at 14-2. Captured the imagination of sports fans across the country and beyond, and couldn't get it done at home. Out in the first playoff game they played for the second straight season. Where do the Baltimore Ravens go from here as they try not only to replicate what they did in the regular season, Peter, but also to be ready to win when they get to January of 2021?
Yeah, and Mike, I think the Baltimore Ravens now, one of the things I like about the Ravens, okay, this was true under Ozzie Newsome, might even be more true under Eric DeCosta, who I think has sort of added more of an emphasis of analytics and just imagination. Eric DeCosta is an outside-the-box thinker, and I think this coming off season, I'm really, really interested to see what the Ravens do, okay, because they're definitely not a finished product. They might be facing the retirement of a potential Hall of Fame guard in Marshall Yanda. He seemed a little sentimental after the game, brought his family down to the field and took some photos after that game. So you never know with that one, but he's been playing in pain the last couple of years. It would not surprise me. And in addition to that, they need to make a decision on a couple of very important players. Number one is Jimmy Smith, who I think has had an in and out Ravens career, but more in than out. He's a valuable piece of a stocked secondary. And then the other one I think is the long-term future of Marlon Humphrey. Just as I say, the Ravens have a secondary to be proud of, but they want to be able to keep that secondary. So I think those are kind of the decisions you look forward to in the offseason. I will guarantee you there will be a surprise in the Baltimore Ravens offseason. I don't have any idea what it is, but this is a team that prides itself on doing things a little bit differently, and that has resulted in a winning formula with the Ravens.
Well, and now that they have a team that is regarded as special, a quarterback that other players are in awe of, Peter, that could prompt free agents to want to come to Baltimore and take less to go to the Ravens than they would want somewhere else. Remember last year they couldn't get any free agent receivers to join the team because of the perception it was going to be a complete and total run-based offense? Well, the ball is being thrown, maybe not as much as it is elsewhere, but there could be some guys out there, whether it's receiver or defensive players, offensive linemen. There could be plenty of guys who say, I want to be part of this. I want Lamar Jackson as my teammate for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
I found myself watching the NFL late in this season, and every time you would see Brashad Perryman make a circus catch from Jameis Winston, I would say, could you imagine if the Ravens had Brashad Perryman still? You know, that would be one area of the team where they wouldn't even have to remotely think of stocking up because they would be fine, you know, with Hollywood Brown and Brashad Perryman as 2 first-round picks that were going to buttress that position group for years to come. But, of course, Perryman could never stay healthy. You can't blame the Ravens for not keeping him, because he couldn't stay on the field. But I'll tell you what, he's a special receiver when he's on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there may be some special receivers that want to be on the field with Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson not being on the field week 17, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about this, and John Harbaugh, did the best he could to tiptoe around it when it came up after the loss. Not playing the key starters, week 17, having that 20-day gap between the last game they played in and their postseason opener. You know, it's another data point, Peter, for the next time the question comes up of what a team that has locked up a bye and has nothing else to play for should do in week 17. And this data point favors playing your guys.
No question about it, Mike. And I think if you ask Tony Dungy and Mike McCarthy, two guys who famously over the years had that rest. This actually was a 19-day break between games because the Ravens played on Saturday. But still in all, you have to ask yourself, is it smart to have inactivity in the Ravens case? Okay, you can't really include Mark Andrews or Mark Ingram because they were injured or really banged up, and they would have been held out anyway. But there were 5 key guys, including Lamar Jackson, who didn't play in Week 17. Lamar Jackson and Ronnie Stanley. I think if you're going to bench Ronnie Stanley, you're probably not going to play Lamar Jackson either, because you don't want him playing behind a neophyte left side of your line. But I think the thing I would say, Mike, I wrote this in my column yesterday. We've talked a little bit, in this show today about how much the Ravens love analytics and accept analytics. John Harbaugh said after this game, it's unanswerable whether, it would have made a difference to play some of their guys in a meaningless Week 17 game. It might be unanswerable, but I'm not so sure. Why can't you take your analytics people and look at every time since 1990 where your team has rested people in Week 17 and then had a bye, okay? And how have they played? What happened? Let's at least see the data. If it's more common that the seeds that get the bye week, if it's more common that they either perform poorly or they lose, maybe you'd want to keep that in mind if you have to make that same decision in 2020.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.